Hi, everybody. This is Rick Barry, and you're listening to Jim on Base. Be careful you don't get picked off.
The Jim on Base show has teamed up with my new friends at Old Hillside Bourbon Company. I got two of my favorite bottles here, Straight Bourbon Whiskey and the Straight Rye Whiskey. So whenever you want to get on base with that authentic Kentucky bourbon taste, make sure you visit oldhillsidebourboncompany.com, their social media, Old Hillside CO, or pick up a bottle at Bevmo and Total Wine. Old Hillside Bourbon Company. They'll always get you on base. Welcome back to another episode of the Jim on Base show. For today's very special guest, we have on one of the NBA's top 50 players of all time. He's in the NBA Hall of Fame and a 1975 NBA champion. He's going to be a part of an upcoming documentary film on that team, and it's considered the biggest upset in American sports championship history. Please welcome back to the show, the great Rick Barry. Rick, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. I do have to correct you, though. It's actually officially, it's the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. So just so we get that straight, so everybody realizes that.
That sounds good to me. And Rick, it's great to have you back on the show. So you were just here in the Bay Area, and I saw you do a pregame interview with your buddy Clifford Ray. So it was great to see you guys both back in the Bay.
Yeah, it's always nice to get back there, and it's just nice to see that the Warriors seem to be getting, well, they seem to be getting their act together really well until they went in and got a total and complete ass whipping at Boston Celtics. I mean, that was embarrassing what happened in that game. So it'll be interesting to see what they do against the Bucks, another challenge. Right now, they're sitting in a pretty decent spot to at least be in the play-in, but hopefully they can get out of that so that they're not in the one loss and out elimination situation. But I still think that's a team that if I were one of the top teams in the league right now and the Warriors were to be sneaking into the playoffs, I would be a little bit leery about having to play them.
Yeah. Well, it made me wonder too. I thought that was maybe one of the worst Warriors losses in franchise history. So have you ever experienced a loss like that or?
Thank God, nothing that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, experience something like that, crazy things happen, but they were down by 60 points at one point. I mean, oh
Yeah.
my God. I mean, it's one thing to get doubled up sometime, but woof, that was kind of sad. But you know
Mm.
what? That's the thing. The beauty of it is that you got a game the next night or the night after, whatever. You just got to put it in the back on the back burner. It's over with. You can't change what happened, and you focus on the next one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And it looks like you were back in the Bay Area and maybe paid a visit to. Do you have a new grandbaby too?
Yeah, my son Scooter has the new little daughter, Brooklyn. She's absolutely adorable, and Ruby did a great job. Thank God that she looks more like Ruby than Canyon. I mean, that's Scooter. I mean, Canyon is my other youngest son. I get the two of them confused. Anyway, and speaking of Canyon, actually, I'm excited about him as well. My granddaughter is awesome. In fact, she gave me a kiss. I actually posted it on Instagram, and it was such a sweet thing that she gave me my first kiss for my youngest granddaughter. But my son Canyon was is doing well and still participating in sports, and that's keeping me happy and excited. So we'll see. We're anxiously awaiting to see what happens with the Olympic 3-on-3 team for USA basketball, and hopefully they did tryouts and all. And he played and traveled the world doing that, and hopefully he'll be on that team.
Yeah, that'd be great. You'll be rooting them from the stands.
Well, yeah, if that happens, I would think that I'm going to find a way to get over to Gay Party and have a chance to do that. But I'm also going to be coaching in the Big Three. So I have to wait and see what's happening because if they do get to the medal game, if he's on the team, then I would have to miss coaching in one of the games
Mm.
for the Big Three. So, but it's a once in a lifetime situation. So it's pretty special. I know it was special when I got to see my son Brent, win the championship when he played for the San Antonio Spurs. I was at that game and was able to be there to see the celebration afterwards.
Mm.
And well, it's one thing to have something happen to yourself, and I mean it's like my fondest memory of basketball personally for me and what I did was certainly being on the championship team and the experience I had there. But there's just something incredible about witnessing one of your offspring to experience something like that as well. It's just brings a little bit more meaning to it.
Yeah. Well, and something else that has meaning to you, it was great seeing you with Clifford Ray before the game, and you had said that you and him are like brothers, right? So are you kind of best friends through life, or?
Well, we have become very close. We are like brothers. When Clifford had gotten prostate cancer, he was concerned, and didn't know what was going to happen. So he actually asked me. I signed a paper to be take care of his young son
Oh.
at the time if that were to have happened. And fortunately, he's still with us, which is great. We fish together. We do a lot of things together, and yeah, we're very, very close. He's a special guy. I was just a little disappointed that they didn't have Charles Dudley sitting by us too, because he was at the game as well, the Hopper. And Hopper is the guy responsible. You mentioned about the documentary. Hopper is the one that actually got that initiated and got it started. And I just wish that he had been there to get the recognition. He certainly deserves it, because that's what it was. It was a team effort. That's what the documentary is about the cardiac kids and what we are able to do as a team. It's still hard for me to believe that it'll eventually, hopefully it'll come out the beginning of next year. That'll be 50 years later, that it took 50 years to get something done about the biggest upset in the history of one of the major sports in the United States of America, and nobody has done anything about it. It's crazy. I mean, every time I think about it, I say, God, what an injustice to my teammates. I got recognition because I was fortunate enough to be voted the MVP of the series, but this was a team that did something so incredibly special. It's the biggest upset, as I said, in the history of all the other sports. I said, tell me something else. Miracle Mets. No, not even close. I mean, oh yeah, the Super Bowl, when the Green Bay Packers lost to the Jets. No, the Jets were picked to be a great team in the AFL. We weren't even supposed to be a playoff team. Okay. I mean, so anyway, it is what it is. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that Joe Lacob and Peter Guber will get behind this and maybe do it at the Chase Center. I think it would be a great thing to have it at the Chase Center in January of 2025 to have the premiere take place there. That'd be kind of cool. And I know it would be great. I hope all the guys that are around still there. We lost two guys, Phil Smith, Eric Dickey, in their 40s, and we've lost other players and members of that team who have passed away. So it's kind of sad. But at least Clifford's still around. It'd be nice to do that. And maybe his son Everett, who was the young man that I would have taken care of had something happen to him, will be able to be there to celebrate with his dad. But anyway, a lot of good things going on. I'm just excited to see what happens with the Warriors for the rest of the season. It's been just a crazy roller coaster ride this year, with all the nonsense that went on with Draymond and the suspensions, having two of your key players having very, I would say, well, again, it's a roller coaster ride, ups and downs all the time for, Wiggins and for Clay, and, the uncertainty of what was going to happen. And then, a couple of times that Steph got hurt and missed some games. I mean, it was crazy, but they found themselves before All-Star break, and until the Boston debacle, they would look like they were doing pretty darn good. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens against the Bucks. That'll be another challenge.
Yeah, no, Will. And you had mentioned the Hopper. I'm excited because I'm talking to you today. I'm talking to Clifford Ray tomorrow, and then we're going to be having the Hopper on at some point to help promote the documentary. So it's going to be some fun stuff coming up. And you had said you were one of the first people to meet Clifford Ray, right? When he came over to the Warriors after being traded for Nate Thurmond.
Dumb, but I'm not stupid. I mean, all of a sudden, I made a living where I had the good fortune of playing, and again, another dear friend that we lost, obviously Nate Thurmond, one of the great centers of all, top 50 player, and had the luxury of having him as my center to run the two-man game with. And I sort of made a living off the two-man game. And then, so he leaves and I got a new center coming in. So I'm saying, well, I got to try to make sure, I hope this guy to want to do and set some screens for me. And so there was a method to my madness at all. And then when I met him, he was just such a great guy. I mean, the show, everybody loves Raymond. You can do a show, everybody loves Clifford. Everybody loves Clifford. My God, I introduced him to a friend of mine who's got a fishing place down in Mexico, and they're great friends of mine in Colorado Springs, where I spend half the year. And they kind of adopted Clifford. Heck, their daughter's going to school in Florida. When they go down to see her, they go and stay with Clifford. I mean, so everybody falls in love with Clifford. So that's the kind of person that he is, a great person, and excited about his book. Clifford Ray Saves the Day, that he saved that dolphin's life, and they made a kid's book out of it. He's got another kid's book on the way, and you'll get that tomorrow to talk to him. And he's also writing the book. So I'm just happy he's still around. And I told him we got a lot of fishing to do. So hopefully we can still have trips before we leave the planet Earth, hopefully for not for many years. My goal is to be 100 years old, go fly fishing, hopefully with Clifford, and be playing pickleball.
Yeah. Well, you said he was the hub of the 75 team, right? So is he kind of
the most important player on that team was not me. It was Clifford Ray.
And how does he draw people in, or how does he take that role? Is he like a gentle giant, or?
Just has a personality. I mean, he's a big old lovable teddy bear kind of thing. Well, actually, probably more like a Kodiak bear or a big grizzly. than a little cuddly one because he's pretty big. But yeah, he just has the kind of personality that's infectious and just a great person. And the players love him. I mean, he's been treated horribly, I think, as a coach, and one of the lowest paid guys on the staff when he should have been one of the highest paid guys. And he's changed so many guys' careers and made them so much money by working with them and teaching them things and taking their games to new levels. Those guys should be sending him presents every Christmas for what he's done for them. They become multimillionaires because of what Clifford did for them. So, but he's a special person. I can just say he's a special person, and anybody that has an opportunity to have him be a part of their life is blessed.
Well, speaking of the upcoming documentary, I was wondering, I don't know if you're allowed to say or not, but is there a title yet, or?
I don't. I think it's the Cardiac Kids. I mean, Cardiac Kids, the story of the 1974-75 Golden State Warriors. Something I don't know what they're going to officially come up with and all, but that's the last that I heard that's the possibility. But of course, they always change those things. Who knows? Whatever it is, it's being done. That's the most important thing to me. That my teammates are going to have the opportunity to get some recognition for what they were able to accomplish. I just wish that they all were still alive to be able to be part of it.
Well, you mentioned you've lost some teammates through the years, about 5. And I imagine you're looking forward to a premiere so you can all be together. I mean, to value your
Well,
times.
the Warriors have had us back for some different anniversary things, and that's always nice when we can get together. That's the thing for people to understand. To know how good you are as an athlete, you really need to be in an individual sport. You're the best in the world. Tennis, you play everybody, you beat everybody, you're the best, right? Golf, you can be the best. Because why? Because you did it. It was you against the competition. So you know that you're the best. You can't say that. And that's why I go nuts when people always say, the greatest player of all time. Listen, it's a team freaking sport, okay? It's not an individual sport. You can have all kinds of talks. Stop comparing decades to decades, different eras to different eras. Stop comparing and saying Michael Jordan's the greatest player of all time. Michael Jordan you can probably have a good discussion about the greatest two guard. Okay, can't compare him to Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. People do this all the time. The GOAT. Hey, when I played, the GOAT was the guy that screwed up. Now all of a sudden, the GOAT that's how times change. The GOAT is now the greatest of all time. Okay, so I go nuts over this stuff. And when I have to hear these guys talking about this, ad infinitum, they can't stop. Oh, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest. I just heard somebody today. Oh yeah, well, he's probably the greatest thing of all time. Oh, Tom Brady, the greatest football player of all time. No, Tom Brady, you can argue the greatest quarterback, maybe, but don't say he's the greatest of all time. He's better than Jim Brown. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, so
everyone's
anyway,
looking for an argument these days,
Well, it's not. It's just they look for something to talk about because this is usually happen on talk show radio all the time. You gotta have something to talk about. I know because I did that for years.
Yeah.
And you're praying that something happens. You're hearing that somebody does something stupid the night before your show so that you can talk about it. Everybody wants to call in and talk about it because you got to fill 3 hours of talking, especially when I didn't have a co-host, Boy, I mean, that's tough. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wish people would stop doing all that comparison stuff and see what it is. I mean, compare people in the errors and do whatever you want to do about it, but it just doesn't make any sense because if people have said to me, Rick, you guys probably couldn't play with these guys today. And I look at them, I said, are you on drugs? Seriously. I mean, have you given this any serious thought? Do you understand what has evolved in the sport of basketball and every sport? The technology that is available, the training that is available. We had nothing, 0. We didn't have a strength coach. We didn't have an agility coach. We didn't have a dietitian. We had nothing, absolutely nothing. We ate the wrong foods. We'd have steak before a game. I mean, it's like insane how far they have come. If I played today, I'd be faster, stronger, quicker, more endurance, jump higher. I would be so much better a basketball player than I was if I was playing today, if I had those training techniques available and all of the other stuff that goes along with it. So yeah, a different world. Let's just compare things apples to apples, oranges to oranges, and not apples to kumquats or kiwis or something else.
Yeah. Well, do your kids or your grandkids, do they appreciate your career? Because it made me think of the Nolan documentary. I don't know if you saw that. And it was kind of cool to see. It seemed like it brought the family together. And it was kind of a neat thing that I think his future offspring could appreciate what he did.
I can't speak for them. I mean, I know some of them think it's kind of cool. I was lucky enough to be able to bring my granddaughter Lauren and my grandson Grant, who are Scooter's two other children, to participate in the parade
Oh
that
yeah,
we when they had that first parade after 40 years later. And I
around
know
Lake
that they,
Merritt.
yeah, that was, I mean, there was over 1 million people. That was pretty wild. And I think that was a great experience for them, and they really enjoyed that. And it was nice to have them be a part of it. And then they came to the second one as well when we rode in the car together. And the first one, yeah, we rode on a cable car. I think one of the cable car things, the things that they have, the buses that look like cable cars. It was fun. It was great. It was amazing to see all those people who were there. So that was nice. That was nice. Now, whether the Warriors can do anything again and keep things going along to be seen, but they've had a pretty darn good run. You know,
Yeah,
they could have had the championship, the one when they lost to Cleveland because of Draymond getting suspended. That was just the worst
yeah,
decision. It was horrible that the Warriors got totally hosed on that for sure. But they were their own worst enemy because in the last 4 minutes and 40 seconds of game 7 at home, they took nothing but 3-point shots. They
yeah.
shot themselves. But they say you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Well, you can live with the three and you can be successful, or you can die by it. They died in that game with the 3-point shot.
Well, I am curious, when guys are champions, what do you do with your ring? I think you wear it a lot, right? Like you let the fans see
Yeah,
it
I
and stuff.
I don't have it on right now because it's old. I mean, I've worn
Mm,
it so much, I try not to wear it out. And so I used
mm,
to wear it all the time. But I don't do that now. I certainly don't take it when I go on a fishing trip. For God forbid I'd lose it or something.
mm.
And you know, I wear it when I was back at the Warriors game. I had it on there, obviously, but I don't wear it all the time because it's just to the point where I don't want to wear it out.
Mm.
You know, it's just rubbing off a lot of the stuff on it. So but yeah, it's very special without question. I mean, I have other rings and all, but nothing is as important as that one because the other rings are for individual accomplishments and
Mhm.
awards. And this is it. Like I said earlier, it's a team game. It's
Yeah.
about your team. That's why I can't understand when they start rating players and they give people extra points rating them. Well, he had 3 championships and this only had one, or he had. You don't win championships by yourself. You know, if my teammates didn't play the way that they played and do what they did, I would have never been a champion. And so to give extra credit to a player because he was on more championship teams than another player is total BS. It's irrelevant. I
Mhm.
mean, there's a lot of great players out there who never won championships, and a lot of top 50 players who didn't win. And just because the guy was lucky enough to have all these great teammates and win multiple championships, all of a sudden that makes him a more valuable and a better player. No, that's not the case at all. I mean, sure, were they an important part of the championship? Yes, of course they were, but they
Mhm.
didn't win by themselves.
Well, you even said the other day you guys epitomized what a team is all about. So you had a lot of role players, right? So it kind of reminded me of almost like the Giants World Series runs. You know, everyone had a role and stepped up.
Well, that's what it takes. It takes everybody accepting their role. Whether you play 2 minutes or 20 minutes, you're going to give the best effort you can. You're going to be there rooting for your teammates, cheering them on, being a part of it because you really spend more time with those guys than you do with your family, for
Mm.
heaven's sake. You're on the road all that time. You're there with them. You're going to practice all the time. Heck, you're home. The kids are at school. You got to go to practice. You don't see them all that often if you've got kids. So yeah, it's a very special relationship that takes place when you're a part of a team, and it's more meaningful when you have that relationship and you achieve success together.
And you mentioned the Cardiac Kids, a great nickname through the years. And I thought it was interesting. The Warriors scored 108 points per game, but you also gave up 105 points per game. So you had a lot of close, nail biting kind of games, right?
Yeah, well, we weren't a dominant team by any stretch of the imagination, but we did what we had to do to be able to win. I mean, you know, now the scoring is crazy. What's going on in the
Mm.
NBA? It's insane. The 3-point shot. This is what happens. The evolution of a sport. The 3-point shot came in. Guys weren't very good 3-point shooters. Now all of a sudden you got guys shooting in the 40 percentile, which is insane from that distance.
Yeah.
I mean, 33% is 50% from twos.
Hmm.
So if you're a 30% shooter, it's okay from threes. That's good. That's a guy who shoots 46-7% from twos, which is a nice percentage to have. I mean, it was that if you could shoot 50% from 2-point range, that was great back in the old days. So usually the big guys are the only ones that shot that high. And now you've got guys shooting 48%, 46% from 3-point range. And so, yeah, you're not going to win a championship in the NBA today if you don't have the threat of the 3-point shot. You can't relatively proficient at it. You don't want to bank everything on it. I mean, and put all of your hopes on out shooting people from 3-point range, but just look at the games consistently. They do so much analytical stuff now. I'm sure somebody's got some statistics somewhere to show what percentage of games are won by teams that outscore the other team from 3-point range. It's probably a significant percentage.
Yeah. No, that'd be a great stat. I was wondering, you guys swept the Bullets in the NBA Finals. Was the previous series against the Bulls, is it fair to say more difficult because you went 7 games and you faced Nate Thurmond?
Yeah, well, I screwed up and gave a game away, for God's sake, in Chicago. I'll never forget that one. And thank God that we wound up winning the series. And then game 7, I was stinking up the gym. I was horrible. I always joke and tell people, not joke, I was serious, that one of Al Attle's greatest coaching decisions was taking me out of game 7 of the Western Conference Finals in the third quarter, halfway through, and sitting me on the bench. How many coaches would do that? Seriously.
Yeah.
Not only to keep me out the rest of the quarter, he kept me out into the fourth quarter because the other guys we were down to like 12 points. I think I was something like 2 for 14. I was horrible. And so I knew right then, I'm thinking to myself, again, talking about, oh God, I'm going to be the GOAT here. Okay. Not the greatest of all time, but the GOAT back in those days. I said, this is going to be miserable. I'll have nightmares about this the rest of my life. Come on, guys, please. And the guys are playing. You look at the video, that's the Clifford Ray's out. George Johnson, the backup center, is in. I'm sitting on the bench. We're out there cheering, rooting for our guys. I thought at the end of the quarter, I was going to put me back in, and he didn't. And I was going, oh, okay. Well, I thought he would get me back in there because I wanted to go back in. And he kept me out longer. I think when I went back in that we were still down 6 in the fourth quarter. Wow. And then I finally played well. I think I went 5 for 7 from the field and made a couple of good passes to teammates for baskets. And George Johnson was blocking everything. And, and Clifford Ray was like the biggest cheerleader for George Johnson. I mean, he wasn't in the game. It didn't matter. He just wanted to win. He was rooting for his teammate and rooting for the team. And that's the way it should be. And that's what made it so incredibly special. Our guys did such a great job with Clifford and me out of the game to keep us in the game and get us back in to reasonable striking distance, being down only 6. And then fortunately, I played the last 7 minutes or so the way I should have played the whole game.
Well, you hear so many players now, they seem to almost control the coach or whatever they say goes. If you're on that level, how did you take that then? Was that a hit to the ego, or it sounded like you're a good team player, obviously?
Coach, he's the coach. The only time that I wish that I wish I had been the SOB that everybody thinks I might have been. In game 7 against Phoenix the next year, I wish that I had been that way. I should have. If I look back, if I had to do it over again, I would have said something late in the game, in the second half. I had a pretty good first half. I should have said something in the second half about, come on, get me the ball. We need to do. I wasn't seeing the ball as often as I think I should have seen it. And when I finally did see it, some idiot person did a whole big thing that's on YouTube, something talking about that I quit on my team because I got in a fight with Ricky Sobers and I watched at halftime. What the hell? I didn't watch at halftime. We didn't have technology to watch a game at halftime. What happened in the first half? This guy was a moron. And even the video doesn't, uphold what he was saying and give validity to it. I was trying to get the ball past it, get to a teammate, move it, trying to do it. Because the last thing I want to do is lose. I mean, we had a chance to do something that it wasn't done for a long, long time, win back-to-back championships since the Celtics had done it. And there's no doubt in my mind, we get by Phoenix that we would have beaten Boston. Boston couldn't have guarded. Clifford Ray can negate, with Dave Collins, Havlicek was a little hurt. And I had great success against him even when he was healthy. I just think that we matched up really well against Boston. And so I just wish that if I had to do something over again, one of the things I would have done different, I would have spoke up and said something, give me the ball. I said, give me the ball and let me try, not to try to score and stuff, but just to try to create opportunities and do things. I would have done that. And as it still came pretty close. And I remember it was a 2-man game with Clifford Ray and the pick and roll play, and ball got knocked loose, and somehow, some way Clifford had it, and Alvin Adams went down and got a dunk shot and kind of put the game out of reach for us. But yeah, that's kind of like a nightmare. I relived that one many times because I remember the bad things probably more than I remember the good thing.
Well, speaking of Al Attles, I know you guys were roommates.
My first year.
Well, did his sense of fashion ever rub off on him? Because he's such a great dresser.
No, Uh, no, not at all. I wasn't. Although I say when I was younger, I did wear a lot of the crazy thing. I mean, I freaking wore platform shoes and I wore the freaking flared out, bell bottom pants and all the other crazy stuff with the shirts open, and I mean, yeah, when you're younger, you do all that crazy stuff. Right now, I couldn't care less. But no, that was not the case. What I did learn is that I said I give Al credit for incentivizing me to have a great season because I said I got to play great because I want to go in next year. I got to negotiate a single room because we roomed together back in those days. And Al, he liked the room hot. He's the veteran, so I mean, it would kill me. I hate hot rooms. I like to sleep when it's cold. I had to watch all the TV shows he wanted to watch. And then when he would shave in the room back then, the black guys all used this stuff, Magic Shave or whatever it was. It was the worst smelling stuff ever. They didn't use razors. It smelled like rotten eggs. I couldn't believe it when I smelled it. I said, "Oh my God, Al, what's that?" "I'm shaving." I said, "What?" And so I kind of joked with him and said, "Yeah, well, that gave me incentive to go out and just play so well that I would be in a position that I can negotiate." Said, "No, I want a single room next season."
Well, it's funny. You mentioned how some of the shows you watch. It made me think. When I had you on the first time, you had said I think that your wife watches The Bachelor sometimes. So, do you still watch that here and there? Or?
God, yeah, she watches that crazy stuff. I would be the worst person. If I was single, I would have been the worst person ever to ask to be on that show because the moment they stepped out of the limousine or whatever the hell they drive up in at different times, I immediately, because I'm sorry, you can say anything you want to say, looks are everything. Okay. I mean, you got a certain thing you're looking for. And if the look isn't never there, she could be the most sweet person in the world, the most wonderful individual. But if I'm not, if I have to look at her, right? And if I don't look at her and say, wow, okay, then why?
Yeah.
Why? I'm sorry. That's just the reality of it. So I would have been horrible. And then the other things that they don't have there, I'm a leg guy. If they don't have the right legs, I mean, a woman with bad legs, like having a Ferrari without flat tires. I mean, seriously, it looks beautiful, but yeah,
Yeah.
can't go anywhere. So yeah, that I would have been horrible, absolutely horrible to be on that show to do that and then you go to do some stuff, and if they weren't athletic,
Yeah.
if they weren't good athletes and doing stuff, okay, see you later. No rose for you, baby.
Well, you probably wouldn't be good on Love Is Blind then, where you talk through the wall. Have you seen that one?
Well, yeah, what is that? No, but I haven't watched that garbage. But I mean, when talk to the wall, I mean, who cares? I mean, I got to see. You have to see. You have to like what you're looking at, don't
No,
you?
I agree with you. Yeah.
I mean, come on. We're all visual learners. I mean, so you hear a voice and stuff. And sometimes it's curious. You hear a voice sounds great and everything, and then you see the person behind the voice.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big disappointment. It's kind of like going on a blind date. I
Mhm.
learned that in college days that I'm not going on blind dates anymore. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Love is not blind.
Huh?
Love is
There's
not blind.
no, huh? No, isn't they say love is blind?
Yeah, it's not blind.
No, it's not. That's the biggest fallacy in the world.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can fall in somebody's person. But maybe it'd be better if you did it. If we couldn't see, then that's one thing, right? Because then it's just the person, how they sound, they feel, and everything you don't know. Although, well, no, I'm not even going to get into
Well,
that.
that's why God gave us eyes. So
I would think so to
yeah,
hopefully enjoy it. So and hey, God, it's great if you fall in love with somebody, whatever the reason may be. That's terrific.
yeah. Well, speaking of seeing things, the 1967 NBA All-Star Game MVP trophy that you have, that thing's humongous. Like, how did you get that in the house? Did you need like a crane to place it, or?
I don't have any huge trophies anymore with me. I think I had one that I'd let go. Here's the thing: you grow up and you have all these different trophies they give out. Why, when you get older, why don't they have something? Get an artist to do a really nice piece of artwork that you would be proud to display in your office or in your home, as opposed to just a trophy.
Yeah.
There's so many trophies, and what do you do with them? I mean, unless it's making a piece of artwork that you can display somewhere and have a little thing on it saying what it's for, I think that would be something that would make a whole lot more sense instead of having all these other trophies around. That's nice to win and have them, obviously,
Hmm.
but I've always felt that's the case, especially even when you go to charity events and stuff, and they give out these awards and all. To get the artist to donate something for a good cause, and you'll have somebody give you something that you would want to display. Some of the
Yeah.
stuff is, yeah,
It
I'm not
adds
even
up.
going to.
Yeah. Well, you talk about there's a lot of players nowadays that do jersey swaps. So do you have any like?
They're doing that now. I mean, I wish I had. Well, if I had
Mm,
all this stuff before, my God, what that would have been worth as far as memorabilia and things go.
yeah.
And so now guys are smart and they're doing all this stuff and swapping jerseys. Some of these guys will have some great collections. So I have a lot of stuff that's pretty cool now that I collected later on in life. I
Mm,
got it from my wife ran the Olympics for women,
mm.
Olympic teams, USA basketball for years. And so I got really cool from the Dream Team. Got
Wow.
the great Olympic poster and all with I think it's Magic and Michael
Wow.
signed, and stuff like that. And it's pretty cool.
Well, one of my prize autographs, when you were a host on KNBR, I actually had you sign a baseball on the sweet spot. So I got that on display.
Well, and I'm allowed to do that, okay? Because
Mm.
if you're a Hall of Famer in another sport, you're allowed to sign on the sweet spot in the baseball when you get signed. I asked that if the baseball guy says, "Oh yeah, if you're a Hall of Famer," but baseball players are not ever supposed to sign on the sweet spot unless they're a Hall of Fame player. That's what I
Yeah.
was told.
No, it makes sense. I grew up a Giants fan, and you also grew up a Giants fan. You went to the Polo Grounds. So I was just curious. You live in Florida, right? You spent time in Colorado. What baseball teams do you like watching today?
I really don't like to watch a lot
Oh,
of baseball. It's too slow. I was an all-state baseball player 2 years in high school, a much better baseball player. But I'm an A-type personality, and it's just a little too slow. That's why I got into pitching
mm,
because I said I'm playing center field because I love Willie Mays, War 24, but I could be out there the whole game and never have a ball hit to me. Seriously, you can
yeah.
play a full game and never have a ball. And I said, wait a second, if I'm pitching, this is good pitching. At least every inning when I'm there, I'm doing something. I'm active. It's great. And then when I didn't pitch, I said, well, wait a second. I got taller. I said, I'm going to move to first base with my size and all because at least I get some action all the time. So I'm not center field, looking at the birds flying around and wondering what's going on. So just a little bit slow for me. And I just root for the teams that, I still have an affinity for. The Giants, obviously,
Mm,
because of growing up and, they were back in New York and moved out, and Willie Mays, and had the honor of getting to be friends with Willie Mays, my boyhood hero, which how cool is that? And
yeah.
McCovey and so many of the other guys, Orlando Cepeda, Juan Marichal. I can just go on and on about the Giants. So I was always a Giants fan, and never was and against the Dodgers because when I was back there, they were the Brooklyn Dodgers. So obviously, I wasn't a fan of them, and I wasn't a fan of the Yankees and all. But I do respect and admire any athlete, any person in any profession who has achieved great success in what they're doing. I have great respect and admiration for. I really do. I love greatness in people.
Awesome. Well, I know you're from New Jersey, and whenever I hear that, I'm a big music fan, so I think of Bruce Springsteen. So it made
I
me
met
wonder.
I met Bon Jovi when I was coaching
Ah,
in the minor in Atlantic City, and not Atlantic. I was in Asbury Park, New Jersey,
wow.
and see those guys, the Stone Pony down there, and
Yeah.
yeah, kind of cool.
I went there over the summer, so it made me wonder who was your first concert?
Yeah, I don't. I really that's an interesting question. Never had that question asked to me before. I never was a big, super huge music buff, although I
Mm,
enjoy music. I love Adele. I think I just love
mm,
listening to her. Love watching The Voice. American Idol. It's kind of fun to see that. Just I got to see Billy Joel,
wow.
a guy that I've done stuff with. Used to be a kid collecting autographs, and now you get into the memorabilia. But meet Chasky back in New York, and he had tickets to go to see the Billy Joel concert that was canceled because of COVID. So it was the
Mm,
first time in years, and he still could sing really well. Loved him. Got to know Boz Scaggs, in the
mm,
Bay Area, Huey Lewis, and those guys. They used to
yeah.
come to our game. So I was always a big fan I'm a fan of music, but I wasn't like crazy about music. So I don't remember. I mean, I remember going to a lot of concerts, seeing a lot of great people perform. Um, got to see Elton John perform. I got to
Mm,
see, yeah, a lot. I mean, a lot of great people in person, and I enjoy them. I mean, enjoy them all. But I don't remember who the first concert I ever went to. I don't know. But what I'm so disappointed in, I missed out on getting to meet Elvis Presley.
wow.
Dang. No, because he was appearing up in Tahoe at Sahara Tahoe, and the guy who ran Sahara Tahoe was a friend of mine. He invited me to come up, and all I had something that I couldn't get out of, and I wasn't able to get there because I would have had a chance to meet him, and it
Wow.
would have been great to have met him. I mean, like I met Frank Sinatra and a lot of other big name people. It's just kind of cool when I think of the people I've met in my life. I'm so blessed. But that's the one that I said, God, I had a chance to meet, Elvis Presley. That would have been so freaking cool.
Yeah.
I got to meet some of the Beatles, not all of them. but that's the kind of stuff that's cool. In fact, I actually got to see all of this stuff. Went over. My wife and I went on a cruise, and we went over there and went back, and we're in England, and we got to visit, Abbey Lane and all that good stuff, all the Beatles stuff. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that things. But I have to think of that. So who was it? Who was the first concert that I ever got to see? I don't know. It probably was somebody when I went. I don't think I did anything when I was younger. I think when I was playing pro ball, when I went up to play in some of the charity golf events that they had in Tahoe, the Harrah Tahoe and for Harris Club and whatever, and got to see them. And I remember seeing Sammy Davis Jr. put on one of the greatest shows ever. It was at Harris Club. Yeah, it was amazing because he was the entertainment during the golf tournament. But I kind of remember that. Wayne Newton, guys. I mean, I did so many people I've seen. So, but who was the first? I would think maybe that might have been it. I don't know if it was Sammy Davis or who it was, but it was back in those days probably, because I don't ever remember going to a famous person's concert until I came out and played for the Warriors.
So you probably know Tom Dreesen then. I've had him on the show, and he
opened up. Yeah, Tom was the opening for Sinatra.
Yeah, yep.
A lot, yeah.
Well, you mentioned earlier about pickleball. So are you playing today or?
No, I actually wanted to play this morning, but it looked like it was going to be raining, and the lady who has 2 courts in her backyard called it off, because she thought it was going to rain. It didn't rain. I could have played, so I missed out on it. I was actually going to go and play now, but they have some courts open, but I had committed to do this to you, so I missed out on pickleball today, which is not great, but getting ready for the U.S. Open next month down in Naples, and I've been very successful in pickleball, and proud to say that I'm actually one of the top rated players in my skill and age category in the world. I've actually won world senior titles and a bunch of titles. And so it's really great fun for me because I missed the competition when I retired, and now I get to compete in pickleball. So it's awesome. Great sport.
Are you still doing Ghost Sleeves and Medusa Leaf? Because I know you promoted them last time.
Yeah. Sleeves, Medusa Leaf, and Aloe MD for the Ultra Repair X product, the cannabinoid products. And so for all of those, if you put it out there, RB24, if you go to the websites, GoSleeves.com, and they're Bay Area guys, Darren and Roy, who started the company up, great products. Football players are wearing it. The runners are going nuts over it. I mean, I highly recommend the Kinesio tape built into it. RB24 is the code. You get a nice discount. Same thing for MedusaLeaf.com. That's a Santa Rosa thing over there. Schaefer, and great guy. And then Aloe MD is the .com, but the product there is called Ultimate Repair X, and all cannabinoid related products, which it's not a day that goes by that I don't use that stuff, because it's so good. It's just absolutely great. So hopefully it'll work for you as well as it does for me. But RB24 code for all of those. So if you're interested in getting a discount and trying them out, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Rick, it's been fun to catch up with you. Thanks again for coming on. And I think I'm in your head now for the rest of the day. You'll be thinking about some music. Who was the first concert?
Yeah, I have to say, I really think I give it quick thought. I'm still pretty sharp in the head here. I haven't gotten dementia yet, thank God. And I would have to say it was probably something up in Tahoe at the either at Sahara Tahoe or at Harris Club in one of the golf events I played in back in the mid '60s. I can only remember. No, I remember. Now I remember. No, I didn't see my mind now. The synapses are going. I know what it was because it was the Beatles at Candlestick Park.
Epic show.
Yes, the Beatles at Candlestick Park. That's the first time I went to a big name thing and saw it. Yeah, that was it. The Beatles.
And that's their last show, right?
That was their last show. Yeah, I saw that. That was unbelievable. Yeah, there you go.
Can't top that.
No, you can't top that at all. That's for sure. So anyway, I wish everybody good health and have a good life, because health is the most important thing. And, please tell Clifford I said hello when tomorrow.
Well, thanks, Rick. Hopefully I'll see you at the premiere.
Yeah, hope so. I hope that's the case. Take care.
All right. See you, Rick.